So hey, how's it going, guys? I'm Casey Roch.
And I'm Ben Park.
And together we're starting, it's called Inspiring Minds Podcast. So we're going to be interviewing a lot of very influential members of the different communities, people doing just some really great things. And we're hoping you get a lot of value out of what we're going to bring to the table, because the guests we're going to have on here are just truly one of a kind, so we're excited to get it rolling. And today we're going to open up with episode 1, featuring lovely Deidra Sharpe here.
Thank you.
So Deidra is the co-founder of Be a Better Me Foundation, which we'll get into that a little bit. She's also a loan officer at CSE Federal Credit Union. So she's a woman. She wears a lot of hats. Truly one of the most influential and inspirational people you're going to meet. So excited for you to hear her story. And
thank you.
Welcome, Deidra. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, you got it.
Means a lot.
You got it.
So, to start off, why don't you tell us a little about yourself and what your story is, as far as how you got to where you are.
Yeah, being 41 and what I do. Do what I do.
Love it.
Well, first I work full time. I'm at CSC, so I do loans there. Ben's been in, and it's kind of like how we met each other too, just coming in and doing loans. But so that's my full time job, and then my other full time job is being co-founder of Be a Better Me, and then also running the girls mentoring program. So that's full time. But
so you got like 2 full-time jobs.
I do. Not a lot of downtime.
Yeah.
But it's rewarding.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now they call it your husband Superman, and we got Superwoman right here at the table. You know what I mean?
I think that's a good compliment for one another.
Exactly.
But yeah.
So I guess what I want to delve into a little bit is you guys do a ton with that Be a Better Me Foundation.
Yeah,
do you want to tell us a little bit about what Be a Better Me is all about, and specifically your role and kind of how that plays out?
So obviously everyone knows kind of like just Lamar being all around Canton, and a lot of interviews that he's done. So we kind of have a base of what Be a Better Me is. We do a lot within the city of Canton. Like right now we're feeding families, and we try to do that during the winter months. So we feed them, we have clothes provided for them. And other than that, we do like the boys mentoring, kind of started out with that program, and that went crazy. So Lamar's like, he took it and ran with it. And then, everyone's like, so what about the girls? Like, you can't forget about the girls. And that just kind of was like, we knew that it was going to have to come. And I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to kind of commit the way that Lamar commits. But I knew that I had the passion, and I think if you're just a genuine individual, it's going to be a golden ticket anyway. But for me, it was just kind of like I knew that door was going to open up, and so then we started with the girls mentoring as well. Yeah. We had Mike Rowe come out, and he provided the space, which really helped because it was hard just trying to figure out where to do the boys. And Lamar was.
You were working out of churches and just venues that people allow you, right? And
in our garage, we had like stuff all in our garage and the back seat of our cars, Lamar's Cruiser, and so it was tough. It was tough. Even when we were feeding families during the winter months, we didn't have our facility where we have now, so we were literally sometimes outside of Arcadia, which they were nice enough to open up. Space that they had, and sometimes we were in, and sometimes we were out. Like just with it was yep. So thinking back, it's just like so much growth within a short window. Mm-hmm. So now, being that we have the space, we were able to kind of implement the girls mentoring, and then we see what else do we do. Like we do the book bag events where we give out hundreds of book bags to the community. That was kind of the first thing that we did too, without having a space. And that kind of is, we have like things that are just like our traditional things that we do. We will always give out the book bags. We do like a Easter community event where we have the community come out, the little kids, and we do a Easter community hunt thing there. So that's just kind of one of those traditional things that we do every year. And then with our mentoring, though, that's kind of like something that we have to make sure that we're consistent with, because it's 8 weeks. Yeah. Now we kind of have a schedule to where we kind of bounce off of the school's schedule too. So we run pretty much the on and off during the school year, and then we are off during the summer. Sure. So it's a lot.
Oh, I bet.
It's a lot.
I mean, it's definitely because Ben and I have even sat in on a number of the mentorship classes and stuff, specifically, on Lamar's side and your side. I know you guys run very similar operation that way.
Yeah.
How many kids between the boys and girls program do you guys mentor currently?
Lamar kind of has a little bit of, just because he kind of started
a little sooner.
A little sooner.
Start, so to
yep.
Speak.
Yeah. And, with young boys, it's kind of, they really look up to Lamar being like that father figure. So they're he books up within the 8 weeks pretty quick. So for him, we kind of have a number of 25, and he's at 25 by the first week. And then when we started with the girls mentoring, it took us a minute. So I think we had 12 girls. And now we're to the point where we get booked up pretty quick too. So our cap out is about 25. Wow. And that's based on our space too.
Definitely.
So.
And I think that's what I've always appreciated, and even sitting in, just seeing it's not just a class they just come in and sit down, and there's so much that goes into it and so much effort that people don't see outside of just that class.
Exactly, right.
And that was one thing that I think was truly resonated with me when I got to sit in, was the fact that like Lamar and you so much about these kids, not just you don't have them just for that hour or that 2 hour period or whatever. You know everything about their lives and what they're going through and their familial situations, and so I think how deep it dives is something that's really what I admire, and I think that's how you're affecting so much change within not just those kids' lives but the community, because it's their families, their friends, and whoever.
You're
that
right.
was what I think is pretty awesome.
We were actually just talking about that while we were setting up, was just impacting others and just gauging the effect that what life is really about is just the impact that you have on people. And then when I did the interviews for the girls, I mean, it was they did a fantastic job of just what they got from the mentorship program is you could tell that they were just
and they were genuine too. I haven't posted that yet. I can't wait. I'm getting close. I'm I can't hold back.
Which, by the way, I have to say, so I was in there a couple times at the bank, and they mentioned that. Oh, I saw the video.
Yeah, I had to. They got a sneak peek. My coworkers did.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
but I'm not sure who the lady is that I saw today. She was in the right hand.
Lori.
Okay. Yeah. She was kind of moved by.
Yeah, she teared up.
That's what
she did. She, I mean, they were pretty much all speechless. And I think it was because you get that invite to come in. When you see pictures, it's one thing. But Ben followed me around us around for the 8 weeks and just filmed. I don't even know what all he was getting. He was just doing his thing. Yeah. And I trusted him. I'm okay, I know he's going to make it amazing.
Magic a little bit.
Yeah, he did. And so the girls that he happened to interview, and I had no idea how he was going to put it all together, were the girls who were, I think, how many did you do? 3 girls?
I did 3.
3. So 2 of the 3 had been in our program since day 1. And so for them to talk about the moment that they started the program to where they are right now, they talk about growth. And that was not, they didn't know that they were going to get interviewed, and they didn't know what Ben was going to ask them either. So everything that they're talking about is genuine, and that's what touched, Lori and my coworkers and stuff.
And I think that's what's so neat about the process that you have, is because I think, too often that we have situations where people are doing good for other people. We were just talking about this before we started up the videotaping too, but people want to do good for people, but they want to be recognized for it, right? Yeah. And they want to say, okay, hey, I'm doing this, and they want to get everybody to oh my gosh, you're doing so great, and rally around them. But I think what's amazing about you and Lamar is the fact that you do this solely to impact the kids and solely to make a difference. Right. And I think that shows, and that's why you've been so blessed in the way that you have, and kind of having success, and people rally around that because they sense just the realness that you bring to the table.
Exactly. And the kids don't lie. No,
honest as the day is
long. They will, if they know that your energy is not good, and you are, you're really not there for them, they know, and they won't fool with you.
Well, and that's no doubt. I think they're in their truest form. My wife, she owns a dance studio, and those kids. I mean, unless you earn that level of trust and respect,
you have to earn it.
Exactly, and it takes time.
It does take time.
Sometimes they can be a little damaged, which I know. You have some kids that are like that, and that's the hardest barriers to break, but then they almost are always the biggest lovers, the biggest ones that give
Oh
it.
yeah,
It just
oh
takes
yeah.
time to
It
break
does
that
take
down.
time, and I think for me learning, I mean, I kind of seen how Lamar was too, but like he's completely genuine, and I have my own, you know, genuineness about myself as well. So you can't practice that, you can't pretend that. So like you said, when the girls were coming in, it's just like I'm a hugger. So, you know, I'll be like, nope, you're not leaving. Give me a hug. I see you trying to. So now I don't even know what I started, but Ben seen it. They're just like, oh, Miss Deidra. And I'm like, you know, can I put my purse down? But they just know that that's what we do. And I tell them, you know, it's about being a family. It's a unit when you come in that you know, anti-bullying. Like even Lamar, like we don't tolerate that. So if it happens, that's you don't come back. And they feel protected when they come in as well too, but you have to earn that layer that they're going to peel down. Like they don't come in there and they just
you gotta peel it back.
Yeah, and they will if they know that you really care about them. And I feel like for these young girls, like they need it. And you know, some of them have, you know, like a strong impact with their mom or their grandmother, or you know, someone in their network within their life is a strong asset to them. But it's sometimes, you know, what they're experiencing when they're in school, and they may not go home and talk to their mom or their grandmother. And so for them to hear other young girls in that classroom that are going through the same thing, then they know, like, man, I'm not alone. Like, this is happening to like all of us. And then so they start talking about it, and they bond, and
which I think is so cool, because not only are you know, maybe they have a void at home or at school, or some you know, issue that they're having that they need help with, and they don't feel comfortable talking to somebody else or whatever, but not only do they find solace within you guys and what you do, but then that group becomes a nice, like, enmeshed individuals that are just really like going through the same thing, to be there for each other, and then their outside support systems, it creates that, you know, maybe that gap that they don't have in their family or life.
Oh, for sure.
They said that too when I interviewed them too. They all of them said the same thing about you, about the program, about each other. That what makes it great is just to be able to relate to other girls their age, and to have you there.
Right.
Yeah, it was just
and
a
it's
good thing.
It is a good thing, and it's not easy. You know, there's moments where I'm like, I think Ben called me. I was like, oh my gosh, like, because we did like this entrepreneur 8-week, like, okay, we didn't have any speakers come in, and I wanted it to be different for them. It's good to have speakers come in too, and I feel like, you know, that's very valuable. But then they also need to experience, like, okay, I need a minute to kind of see, what is it that I'm good at? Like, I've heard speakers, and now I need to like really think about, like, what is it that I want to do? And so Jade, she was the one who, she did amazing. I think
she killed it.
My eyes were wet too.
I love it.
And she mentioned that, you know, other girls, she sees growth in other girls as well too, but she didn't realize how important it was about, you know, just keeping her grades up and her attendance in school and her attitude. And she had a minute to kind of reflect on herself too. So to me, that's like, it's important for them to kind of, at that moment, because we have older girls. We do from 10 to 16. And, you know, that's a big difference.
It is, and influential ages too. You know, they all need different things.
Oh, my goodness, they do. They really do. And I'm almost to the point where, like, if we continue to grow, and let's just say we have like 30 girls, then we almost need to kind of divide them a little bit. Because some of them that are 10 are just like, you know, they're just, you know, and it's good for them to be there. But then you have like the 15-year-olds that are just like, okay, what is it that I want to do? And they're ready to kind of like
different stage of life.
Yeah, exactly. And so then when we put them together, like with our business, I divided them into 2 businesses, and then so we had like the team leads. They kind of were the ones that they were my older girls that I expect more out of. And when you hold them accountable for that, they even had a different color shirt. So they were just kind of like, oh, Miss Deidre's like, you know, let me, and it's good for them to be that way. And, you know, they don't earn that color shirt unless, you know, they have to earn it.
Teach them a sense of responsibility, and I think it's huge.
Yeah.
And that was, you know, one thing like that I was always curious about, like when you guys got into this, like you and Lamar, or even you, like, did you always just have that passion for wanting to like get involved with kids or just people, or was it just something that just happened organically?
For Lamar, it was very organic for him. I mean, he was doing mentoring even before we met, and so that was one thing that he always said, that he wanted to have a boys mentoring. And for me, it was just like, I love kids too. And I feel a passion for young girls, because more so now they need a positive outlet. And just thinking about, like I talked about in the video, what I had growing up as an opportunity for an outlet, these girls need it more so. And then within the city of Canton, there's not a whole lot for them to do. So it's like, we can't forget about them. So when, I knew we eventually was going to have that girls mentoring, I was just kind of like, well, I hope I'm it. Because I just knew that it's not something you can practice. There's not a blueprint. I mean, some things, Lamar's like, this is what I do. And I'm like, okay, so I need you to come to orientation, because I don't want to talk to these girls. Like, I'm so nervous. And so he did. But then kind of just knowing that, they just need you to care about them. And then you just set everything else aside. And if you genuinely can just care, then it just all falls in place. And so I think you just either have that or you don't. So for me, I didn't realize, like I was telling Ben, I didn't know that this was going to be like an avenue in my life. And sometimes God just puts things in your path, and he just knows who's right for it.
100%.
Yeah.
Whether you're ready or not.
Ready or not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have a gift and a passion that, extends to other people, and you're getting used through the medium that you have now. And
right.
I think what I love is that, the recognition that you guys get that's so deserved, it's helping spread the word and then affecting more people. Because I know, one of my passions, what I would like to do is set up a mentorship program for kids who are entrepreneurial spirited, right? Because I was, like we were talking about before, and like seeing the impact that you guys have on these kids, I know it definitely inspired me, and we talk all the time. Like, I want to do that because I'm seeing just the change that you can affect in the kids, and even just the community in general. I think
exactly, and that's what it should be. It should be one of those change where it's toxic for someone else to, because, like they say, it takes a village. And we have our foundation, and, we do what we do. But, like, imagine if more people, were able to kind of just, bond together and do similar things. Whether yours is just like, hey, you know what, this is my story. This is what I love to do. And you just have so many resources for these kids versus nothing at all. Yeah. So it's better to have people want to, if you're inspiring other people to kind of want to do something, then you're doing something right.
Totally agree.
And for me, with the girls, I feel like I'm different than Lamar. And with the girls, you do have to be different. So I'm more of a gentle soul. Like, I'm more of the, I'm kind of a little laid back. Like, okay, I'm going to let you act up a little bit, but we're going to have to we're going to have to talk about it. Definitely. And, like the 8 weeks was kind of tough because they kind of had like some downtime. And towards the end, I'm like, you guys got to understand, like, I'm expecting this out of you. Like, I can let you know when I mean something, but you kind of have to know when you can kind of, and at this point, I've earned their respect.
No doubt.
And like Lamar, he has the young boys that they don't want to let him down, and they'll tell him like, oh, I let Officer Sharpe down, and then the girls are kind of that way too, and they're kind of getting to, like, well, I don't want to let Miss Deidra down. Like, it's just, yeah, so.
And that's when you're making the impact.
Yeah.
100%. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask, so for those that are watching, maybe it's one of your girls, or let's say they have a passion or a dream of, they see where you are. What would you say to them of, like, how do they get to, like, what would be like what are some skills that they could develop, to help get them to where they would like to go? You know what I mean?
I would say the first thing that they have to do is have their inner strength first. Because if you can't learn that, you got to know that there are struggles that are going to come. And like for me, and we talked about some of, like, obstacles that I had, and we all have stories and backgrounds and different challenges, but it's your mindset. So if your mindset isn't ready and you've got to get that strong enough, then you're going to be able to get through things in life. But for me, I think that would probably be at least one step to getting you to become a strong individual, because there's a lot of things that they do go through, and you have to be able to be strong enough to get through the little things. So I would probably make sure that person is working on their inner strength and making sure that they have a mindset to know that struggles are going to come. So if you know that, first of all, you got to be strong and you got to know that you're going to be okay, and then maybe instill faith. Like, you always have to have faith. And, you know, in whatever religion that your background is in, or if you don't have a religion, like, you've got to have something solid to pray to.
And I think that's
you have
a great
to
point. Having that solid foundation, and it goes back to, was it the Maslow hierarchy? It needs you have that sense of security, right? Before you can do anything else, you got to feel safe and have that inner security, and then security within your surroundings.
Exactly.
So having that, or else they can't improve, right?
You can't improve. Okay. And, you know, for me being young, I was a single mom early. I, you know, had to drop out of high school and get a GED. That's not something that I usually tell people, but that's a reality for me. So I had to figure out, okay, you know what? There's no excuse. Get it done, got it done. Okay, so now what is it that you got to do? Okay, baby steps. Okay, so I got this little boy. Now I got to figure out what am I going to do to raise him up? I can't just rely on the system. I could, but it's a choice. So your mindset always has to be willing to fight through that next chapter. So I went to college, graduated, got into the PTA program. So just because you're not graduating from high school, that's still not stopping you. Your mindset has to be strong enough to keep going. Then you have to commit. So if you go to school and you're not ready for it, get your mindset ready first. So if you go to school and you decide that your mind is right, you got to commit. Because if your mind is right, you commit, then you're ready for your next challenge. And only you know what that's going to be. So for a young girl, my conversation might be different for Ben. Ben with braids. Than it may be for you. Sure. Because you are two different individuals, but the same foundation is going to be the same. How's your mindset? Get your mind right. Like, get your, you know, sometimes you don't have to have a lot of friends surrounding you to make you feel validated. So if you just know that there's a spiritual being, and then, you know, you get a quiet moment, it's okay to be quiet and be by yourself, because that's how you learn who you are. Exactly.
Which I think is awesome. And, you know, I think it goes back to, you know, like, and I have, you know, my real estate team and stuff, but I always find it interesting when you're, you know, managing people or like working with people, and specifically in kids, is understanding, you know, what motivates them, what drives them, like what makes them tick, right?
Exactly.
And I think that's the only way you can really impact and motivate people and inspire people, is finding out what it is that they value and being able to connect with them, you know, on that level, which is, I think you guys do such a good job at. Yeah. You have kids from all various backgrounds, you know, extremely rough, maybe not as bad, you know, maybe mom's not here, maybe dad's not here, maybe they're a great family, but there's still that void. But you guys have that gift, you know, where you find out what that is that they're missing, and be able to help them. You kind of meet them. You kind of meet them at where they are. And you have to be able to kind of bend down a little bit, because you can't just be so like, well, this is I'm just so established, and this is what I do. They're not going to communicate to you, and then that layer is not going to peel down. And I love that.
Yeah.
And yours is not so much of like, hey, like, because you do help them fill that void, but not only like just with you guys, but you help them fill that within themselves, right? Because I think when you have that empty space, no matter if someone's there, like, say one day something happens and that person's not there anymore, unless you have that internal peace. And I think what's so amazing is helping them find that, you know? And that was going to be my next question, and it's one of my burning questions that I love asking people, and you specifically with all that you do, you know, what motivates you? Like, what drives you? What's the thing that, you know, is your why, I should say.
Yeah,
you know what I
it's
mean?
my why. I don't know. I think sometimes each day or each month or where you are in your life, your motivation can change. And I feel like that's okay if it changes, because if you just stick with one thing that motivates you, then your answers become the same answers. The way that you're instilling in someone else becomes regimented. It just becomes this routine. You get up every day, you drink coffee. You don't ever change your coffee. So for me, I think my motivation, it changes depending on the circumstance too. So like for me, the outcome is going to always to try to better a young lady and to instill in her the value of who she is first. And, you know, my motivation could be, you know, I want to see, like, I guess based on your 8 weeks, you know, 8-week motivation is just kind of like, I want them to hear, you know, different women that are very successful within this community, because you can be successful. You may not always, you know, everyone may not want to be an entrepreneur. You may want to go to college and be something else, and it's okay. So by like each 8 weeks, I guess motivation is a little bit different. So like this last one, when Ben followed me around, my motivation was, I want them to experience being an entrepreneur. There's some young girls in here that they can be that, but they don't know that if they don't experience it, or maybe just learn a couple of things out of that. So the motivations just could be what inspires me at that moment, and that's why I say that it can change, and it's okay that it changes.
Because that's so powerful, I think. I mean, when you look at motivation, and because think of people like, I like to set goals, whether it's business, personal, whatever.
Right.
You know, when you work so hard to a goal, right?
Yeah.
And you get there, and all of a sudden you're like, now what?
Now
right?
what? Exactly.
But if you're constantly setting new goals and setting and finding new motivations,
exactly.
one, you never get burned out.
Yeah.
You know, and two, you're always improving.
You're always improving.
Thing, you know, him and I are huge into self-development, and I always say self-development fanatic, right? I want to, any way I can try to be better, I want to do it, whether it's improving in this way, that way. But you made another great point that I like too, is you didn't just say, you know, the motivation changes, but the steps to get to that, what that motivation point is, change all the time. It does. And unless you have that change and that action to get to where your goal is, you're never going to get there.
Right. And you think about how, like, you know, like how our society is, and you know, we have social media. Imagine if, you know, you're a school teacher and you're teaching the same way, and, you know, you're writing on the whiteboard, and now they just got smart boards now. And, you know, like, I think your mindset just has to be able to kind of almost be one step ahead a little bit, because these kids are just like, we didn't have social media growing up. And you know, it's crazy to me. And I just think that, you know, if you're just always thinking about how you can change, you know, an individual's life, or how you can change this program to maybe run a little bit different. And, you know, how we run things now, or how Lamar runs things, like, we're trying to be more uniform because we're growing, and we need to have, like, you know, like a manual maybe one day where we, you know, put the rules and stuff in there. But still, how I run the girls it's going to always be a little different.
Definitely.
But, you know, like now we're only accepting 25 girls and boys. And, you know, 2 years from now, we may have more. So then the way that we run our program may be a little bit more different. But, and I think for me, I think that's just, I think you should always be able to be willing to change a little bit.
You almost have to. Like, you have to adapt to what's the situation is, you know what I mean? It seems like, you know, anyone that's made it, quote unquote, whatever, had to make changes along the way, you know, be it problems or like what you're saying, maybe like the main objective is still the same, but the route can have have to change.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
I think that part is very, very cool, and I think that no matter, you know, if you're always constantly like thinking the next step of how can I affect some change or impact here, and then you're constantly shaping that mold. That's when you get something truly great, and that's when you get a program that works with the track record of success that you guys have, and just your ability to, you know, I guess pour that out into the community and other people, which is awesome.
And I think it's okay just being an adult to allow the young girls to teach you something too, because sometimes adults, we don't think that, you know, a young child or kid or whoever can teach us something. And, you know, sometimes I had to sit back and kind of analyze myself, like, oh gosh, like, you know, they kind of taught me something, and it's okay. And, you know, those are moments where I kind of have to, you know, grow as an individual too. Just because I'm a certain age, I won't say it again. It doesn't mean that I'm done learning and growing within myself. And there's challenges that, you know, that me and Lamar, we face a lot, and people, you know, they see the outside of, you know, what we do, but even as a unit together, him and I, you know, it's hard on us sometimes. And, you know, having to just
shoulder the weight.
So I'm like, okay, let me check myself. Like, maybe I need to be this way. Maybe I need to, like, have moments where I'm a little bit quiet and kind of listen. And I do that when I have the young girls too. It's just kind of listen to them too, because just because they're younger doesn't mean they can't teach you something.
And that, because that was going to be one of my next questions, was that, you know, what do you think's been one of your biggest challenges that you guys have faced, like in kind of getting this whole thing rolling, and then how did you kind of overcome it after that?
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That one, I think just transitioning. I think for me, and you know, obviously Lamar's answer may be different, but for me, I think it was just once we got the building, and so the growth is like, man, like to have to overcome growing overnight to, okay, now we're here, it kind of is like it's kind of settled its way now.
Yeah.
And now we have people in place. Like we have someone within our office. We have our hours kind of set. We have like our programs, and now we kind of have a rhythm going. But it was hard for us because we just were, like for me, I'm full-time and I'm having to literally like be full-time again, and then having a home to have to take care of too. It's a lot.
And I can't imagine. And that's one thing that I've always respected. And we were talking before you got here, you know, like, and even think about it. You were a little late getting here because you
we
were
were feeding families tonight. And I'm like, okay, I got to go. I got a podcast, but like I got to drop this off at the office. And then like, you know, it's always something, not in a negative way, but we are just constantly doing something, and it's a positive thing.
No, and it is, and I think that's what fills you up. But it blows my mind just everything that you guys have going on. You know, from just the mentorship program to the tutoring to everything, and holding down full-time jobs, and maintaining a household with kids, and you know, stuff like that. You got to handle. That's, you know, most people can't even do one of those things.
Oh,
so
man,
being able to do that, and when I think I'm busy, sometimes I'm like, Lamar and Deidra. Shit,
oh
man,
my gosh, I know.
I can't handle that.
And you know, I'll be like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm going home. Like I'm burnt out. Like I'm done. And my job is, you know, it takes a lot to have to, you know, write loans, and you know, you have to be on your A game with that too, because you know, it'd be nice to kind of go to work and just put like a headset on and just work. Yeah. Like, you know, but I'm such a people person that I like to talk to people. But that takes a lot out of you too.
It does.
And so sometimes I go to work and I'm like, I don't want to talk to anybody today. And then I just have to like, and then I get like an amazing person who comes in and I'm like, oh my God, they was just so sweet and cute. And
that made the day.
And I give hugs at work. And you know, it can be inspiring too, but it's definitely a challenge. Even to this moment, that's probably one thing that, it's still very challenging, is having to wear so many hats and do so many things and try to be good at all of them, you know.
And I think the interesting part about that too is you know, they say like yourself, you're a cup. Think you're a cup, or like even like a water bottle filled up, right?
Oh yeah.
And when you're giving and you're trying to like you're pouring, you know, and then all of a sudden you look back one time and you're empty. You're empty. Your cup's empty from giving so much.
Right.
So like what, like for you, what is one thing that fills you up? Is it time like with Lamar? Is it time with the kids? Like what? Or is it time to yourself? Like what?
I think it's a little bit of everything. I think it's just having a moment to just rest. And if you can rest, then again, you can get your mental state right. You can get you can recharge. And then, like for me, I love to craft. I like to just go and get like my little tea or glass of wine and get my music going. And it's usually something, you know, inspiring or jazzy. And then I just get to craft it, and I sand and I paint. And I'm like, oh, I just took this piece of wood into like, and that's kind of like my just moment where I can just kind of like, I just need that.
I love that.
And when I can get it, then I'm just like, oh, I'm good. And it's definitely having to have that time. You have to.
Definitely. To get yourself back to neutral.
To get your, yep.
Now I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, what's your jam? Like if you're going to get after it and get it going.
Man, it's probably like some, like Her.
Okay.
I like me some Her. And then I just like, I'll go to like the channel, or you know what I mean, and then it'll just play all the tunes kind of like that.
I love it.
So yeah,
that's very, very cool.
So if somebody wanted to find Be a Better Me, where would they go? Where can they go to find out what you do?
Oh yeah, just find Lamar. Just look for the guy down on Market by Basil. Yep, but that's our location. We do have an office phone, so you can call in and ask for a secretary, but it's posted online. So if you just go to www.beabetterme.org,
love it.
That's our website, and you'll find like anything that we're doing. Like Christmas, we're gonna do Stuff the Bus. It was Stuff the Cruiser, but now Stuff the Bus, and we'll have like a wrapping party, we call it, and the community comes out there. I think this might be our fourth. But usually, like, the community come out. We get a lot of volunteers that come out and they help us wrap, and that's like so necessary because it's a lot of. So
people want to get involved and help with that. They just beabetterme.org.
Yeah,
where they would go.
So that one's upcoming. But if you go onto our website and follow everything, just follow Be a Better Me. Then you'll see everything that we have going on. You'll see some of our, like we're having a gala coming up next year for the Boys and Girls Mentoring. If you missed it last year, it was pretty amazing because we put the kids to work and we had them serve the community. So they literally had worked with the chef. We had servers, the little busters going by with their little trays, and they were all dressed up. And so that was pretty amazing. But it lets you know different things that we have going on. And then how you can give back if you want to donate, and the phone number and address, all that's listed right there.
And guys, I think that's one of the biggest things I think that we should all keep in mind is, Deidra's touched on a ton of points today, but that organization and them, they're doing so much stuff. So there's always a way to help if you feel so inclined and want to do that. That's a site, or on Facebook, Instagram, whatever. I mean, you're able to find a lot of stuff that they're doing and get involved that way.
Yeah,
too.
And we definitely have Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah.
One thing that I always, with this being Inspiring Minds podcast, and my hope is that we can inspire and kind of reach people and just provoke them to, one, find their passion, two, impact people and just kind of do what they can there. For you, like, what would you say determines success or being successful? Like, what would you say? I
think success is just overcoming your obstacle and whatever it is that you're going through in your life right now. It's not defined by money. It's not defined by that. It's not defined by your status of, your degree and your job title that you hold, because you could have an established position and not give a crap about the community. To me, that's not success. It's overcoming an obstacle that you've had to overcome personally, and once you've overcome that, how are you being an advocate to somebody else?
It's huge.
It's huge.
So that's one of the best answers I've heard.
Impact is like success to you is, are you having an influence on others? You're able to do that,
right? And I feel like from my past, I've overcome a lot of different things, and just to be able to kind of sit back and be able to encourage a young girl and be relatable. And if your heart's not open enough to be relatable, then they're not going to want to listen to you anyway, and they'll keep it moving. They may give you attitude, but if you just, I can't wait. Like, everyone has to watch this video that comes out, because you'll see, I'm inviting you to come in and see what we do personally. And, you hear from the young girls and stuff, but to me, that's success. And it doesn't have to be helping a young girl. It could be maybe helping another woman overcome domestic violence. It could be, just that you want to feed people and elderly. Like, our elderly are being mistreated all the time. And there's some people who have a passion for, just checking on different people within nursing homes and stuff like that, because they're forgotten. So whatever it is that you feel that you can make a difference in, and you're passionate about it, and you are actually making those little steps, maybe it's once a month, to me, that's success. And then you never know where that leads you, and you may become a person who has a little small organization.
But I think that's so cool that you found your motivation on struggles maybe that you had that you overcame. Now you're an advocate for those that are maybe sharing similar struggles. Yeah. I think a lot of people can source motivation from that.
Right.
Because people feel the pain and the struggle that they went through having that thing.
Oh, yeah.
So when you can help other people kind of bridge the gap, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because like we talked in your office for 2 hours.
Oh,
maybe,
it was forever.
And I love that. And I opened up about my biggest thing was I thought, within my career, like having money and having materialistic things was going to make me happy.
Right.
And so when I set those goals, that all of a sudden I was like, hey, I had this goal and I reached it. And my happiness level probably went down. It was actually, I was less happy.
Right.
And I really struggled. And like, that's where just talking to you have that positive aura and light. And that really shows me that I get my passion based on how can I impact people, who can I help today, that kind of thing. And
I was impressed when you left. I was like, dang, I never even knew that, you had a story like that. And you never know how people can impact one another. And if you can just sit down and that's why I was just all for it. I'm like, oh my God, like we just gonna lay it all out and have a good time and just talk about just the goodness of our hearts and what it is that we want to do to impact the community. And it's little things coming together. But if you don't have the passion to do it, then some people just aren't motivated. But it's 2000, it's about to be 2020. And there are so many people who just need to feel that you care about them.
It's time to make a difference, and, and that's one thing I think. Obviously we're short on time, so we'll probably have to cut it for today. But one thing we definitely are going to want to have you back. I mean, it's always a good time when Deidra's in town.
Thank you.
Just all that you're doing. So, I mean, from Ben and I just think we want to thank you for joining us.
And is it all right? We will put the link for the video.
Yes.
We'll put the link for the video for the Girls Mentorship Program somewhere down, up, wherever. Wherever.
Exactly.
Somewhere around here. But that way you can check it out, everything that Deidra's doing with the girls. And
I want to invite you in and check us out.
So make sure you do that. And again, this is Inspiring Minds, episode 1. I got an absolute rock star here in Deidra Sharpe. So please follow what they're doing. Deidra specifically, her husband Lamar is an amazing guy. You'll hear more about his story. And then just beabetterme.org is where you're going to find a lot of information. Truly wonderful people, and why we're doing this podcast. So thank you, Deidra. We appreciate it, and we look forward to talking to you again.
I enjoyed myself.
Right. Thank you.
Thanks.